Just send a quick email to Iris, but that was later. Yeah. So everybody meet Denise Stanton. Denise Stanton is like women all across America. She works hard, she's been married a few years ago, and has a wonderful family. But Denise unfortunately fell on some hard times. Her husband recently passed away, left her with a child to raise on her own. Unfortunately, this child has disabilities. The medical bills left behind from the long care of her husband's ailment stacked up and were difficult for her to pay in the times when there were dual incomes in the house, but now getting caught up on those past bills while also raising a family on a single income is more than she can deal with. Her work environment's continuing to get more and more complex, and while she is considered definitely middle America income, her hours are more demanding, her employer is expecting more, and she doesn't know where to turn. Between responsibilities she has at home, responsibilities she has at work, the time just does not exist for her to look into the real issues of how she can get past these difficulties. She doesn't know if she has options. She doesn't know if there are things that can be done for her in the judicial system or elsewhere to solve these problems. She knows she can't afford to take time off work. She can barely keep up with the bills that are coming in, let alone the ones that have stacked up for years behind her. Childcare is expensive. She's already paying a lot in childcare. To try and get more time to go into a lawyer's office is challenging. Not only that, she's an hour away from the nearest law office, and they only meet with people generally during the hours that she's required to be in her job. And given that she's a single income mother, she has very challenging time asking for more time off work on top of the time that when her kid is sick or there is a teacher strike or something else is going on that's making it hard for her to make it into the office that day. And frankly, she's intimidated. She's intimidated by the process and doesn't know where she can get help. So the question is, will Denise ever get help? And the reality is it's relatively bleak. Affordable, high-quality legal representation is a major problem in this country. The Brennan Center for Justice at NYU said 80% of low-income people have trouble obtaining legal representation to access the civil system to protect their property, family, and livelihood. The majority of moderate-income people also struggle with access to representation. They represent themselves, hire someone who isn't a lawyer, or often do nothing when faced with a legal problem, was the finding of the ABA's Standing Committee on the Delivery of Legal Services. So I've got news. We are not number one, period. We are not number one. In fact, we're last. We are last in our group of peers in this country, in this world, in terms of delivering access to the justice system. Civil justice. Just a few countries are better than we are. Netherlands, Norway, Singapore, Denmark, Germany, Sweden, Korea, Austria, New Zealand, Finland, Hong Kong, Estonia, the United Kingdom, Japan, Australia, Belgium, Uruguay, Canada, France, the Czech Republic, and coming in 21st place, the United States. In criminal justice, we're actually worse. I won't make you listen to me read the list again, but we're two lower. We come in at 23rd. The reality is, we can be number one. There's no doubt in my mind that we can be number one in helping the Denises of the world access the help that they need. We've revolutionized the energy industry. We've revolutionized transportation. We've revolutionized aerospace. We've revolutionized personal computing. We've revolutionized mobile computing. We've revolutionized social networking, connecting more people than have ever been connected before. And what do all these things have in common? The thing they have in common is innovators and entrepreneurs were encouraged to solve these problems. And I challenge all of us here today to find a way to encourage innovators and entrepreneurs to solve these challenges. So here's an entrepreneurial case study. I was running a company called Total Attorneys, and we generated, on average, about 80,000 consumer leads per month that would go to small local law firms around the country. Every single month, 20,000 of those would not be able to go to a small local law firm because we actually couldn't find an attorney to purchase marketing in that area. So we said, there's an opportunity here. We have 20,000 people a month that we can't help, and there's 20,000 people a month who have money in their hands looking for help. How can we connect those dots? So why did this happen? Well, one is this country is very rural. We're here in Chicago today, and there's L tracks running over us as we speak, and we're very condensed. But that's not the case for much of the country. Much of the country is very rural, and we found attorneys weren't willing to advertise in areas that were more than a 45-minute drive from their office because consumers simply weren't willing to make that drive. So that consumer would go with no one willing to help them. We also found that a lot of small law offices were juggling 9 million tasks that has nothing to do with actually delivering legal service to the consumer, but had to do with trying to do client intake or answering simple questions or accounting or things that made them multitasking experts, but not able to do an effective client intake to make the marketing dollars they were spending have a positive return for their practice. And the third thing we found was a lot of consumers are scared to walk into a law office. Their experience, for the most part, has been watching it on TV, has been hearing from friends who had awful situations. Very rarely do consumers hear about the wonderful time their friend had with a lawyer. That's just the reality. So they're intimidated, and this is what they think they have to do, is go sit in a waiting room and be nervous and palm sweat, and then go into a room where there's a million books behind some big old burly man, and you think he's probably read every single one of them, when the fact is he's probably read 4, and it's been 20 years. They sit there for decoration. It's an intimidating process. So we said maybe we could remove some of that intimidation. So the idea and the genesis was to create something that would bring the law office to the living room. How could we take the services that were desperately needed across a state that was as rural as Arizona and bring attorneys that could provide the types of help those consumers need, regardless of where their location was in the state, and use video chat and screen share to be able to connect that consumer with the attorney to provide the type of representation that they need, the guidance they need, and the counsel they need, and let the attorney leverage their time counseling clients rather than trying to multitask and focus on those things. So Upright Law was born. We've been doing this for about 2.5 years now. We are practicing in one practice area. We have 250 partner attorneys across every state in the United States. We have 125 staff members in Chicago, right across the street. About 25 of them are attorneys and 100 of them are non-attorneys. And we are assisting the partners in representing clients in every single state in this country. And we're doing it in a way that's improving the client experience by delivering the legal service the way the clients want to receive it, rather than the way that's convenient for the lawyer. And it's a very big paradigm shift, delivering a service thought from the ground up on how would a consumer want to consume it, rather than I'm an expert practitioner in this area, how do I go find these services? It's a different approach. This approach has helped those 250 lawyers reach 1,500 clients just in the first quarter that they would not have otherwise served. These people are in rural areas of the country. These people are in parts of places that may be a far drive or difficult because of the affordability of getting childcare or taking time off work, and it's expanding the pie. So I come here today to say entrepreneurship and innovation is what will solve our justice gap. And I've got 4 things that I suggest we all ponder together and consider that may actually help this move forward. So number 1 is we need to simplify our multi-layer framework of rules and regulations. It's very complicated. I can't tell you, we've spent hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars figuring out how to operate a law firm in every single state in the country. It is incredibly, incredibly complex. And there is no blueprint. You can't ask any questions. You have to go around individually and get ethics attorneys in each state to give you guidance. And oftentimes that guidance contradicts the state that's right next door, and you kind of got to pick, which one are we going to go with? We're a nationwide firm. Try advertising in all 50 states. It is impossible to figure all these rules out, and very, very time-consuming and very, very costly. We've got to reduce the gotcha mentality with rules that were written 30 years ago and didn't take into consideration modern technology such as artificial intelligence or such as online advertising. We need to enable the economic incentives so that people that are coming up will actually want to work on these challenges. It's very difficult to get a brilliant developer to come and work at Upright Law versus going to Uber when Uber can provide them something that Upright Law is unable to provide them, which is economic incentives beyond a salary. Financing options. Technology that's developed today will returns for many, many, many years. The companies that can invest in those technologies are servicing very large corporations. The AmLaw 100 can invest in that technology. Firms that are servicing consumers have a very difficult time accessing the funding necessary with which to invest in the technology to solve the needs of the access to justice problem. We need to celebrate accomplishments. We need to have awards dinners where people come up and have the opportunity to actually celebrate accomplishments. This goes on in the startup community everywhere. There's one once a quarter. It really encourages young, smart, brilliant kids to want to get involved in an industry that celebrates their accomplishments and has some recognition for hard work in solving very difficult problems. Every smart software developer wants to solve the most difficult problem in the world. This is one of them. We need to celebrate that, highlight it, and do it in some sort of award ceremonies and dinners and celebrations. So, getting back to Denise Stanton, Denise is maybe not going to find help in today's environment. But if we focus on the 4 areas that I illustrated and others, I am confident that we can make it so the next young Harvard dropout will focus his attention on how to expand the pie to the $40 billion of unmet legal opportunity and enable attorneys to actually deliver the services to take those $40 billion that are sitting on the sidelines and put it into real dollars into hardworking attorneys' pockets rather than going out and building the next Facebook or Instagram. If this happens, the Denise Stantons of the world will get help. I encourage you all to think about how we can encourage entrepreneurs, innovators, and technologists to enter this field at a pace that we haven't seen before. And if we do, I believe in all my heart that we will solve the access to justice gap and become #1 in this country, this world.